Hello and welcome to the Chatterbox Letters podcast. Today I will be doing a special presentation. Today I will be reading my self-published book, The Minorities, the Pilot, and I'm reading chapter 1. I hope that everyone will enjoy listening to me while I read it to you. Here is The Minorities, the Pilot. Okay, let me get it to the first page. Chapter 1. Your secret is safe with me. It was the early morning at the Wilkerson household. Emily Wilkerson was briefly alerted by her alarm clock before she was awakened to a typical good morning. She turned over in her bed onto her back, facing up at the ceiling. She muffled under her voice as she awakened. Oh my God, tell me it isn't money already. Her mother, Judith Wilkerson, was at the end of the stairway, yelling up to Emily to come down for breakfast before it got cold. Get ready, Emily, Judith said. Come downstairs for breakfast. You too, Daniel. Daniel was ready for the morning. He couldn't resist smelling the aroma of a good breakfast. It was top priority for him because he thought it would improve his brain cells and his way of thinking. Daniel came downstairs to the aroma of breakfast cooking. It hit his nose very hard. All right, next page. Oh, Mama, that smells so wonderful. Good old bacon, sausage, eggs, toast. Every young man's dream to have a good substance. Donnie, Judith's husband, followed behind Daniel. He put on his coat, preparing himself for a quick breakfast before he had to leave for work. Hey, baby, is everything ready? Donnie said. I got to be out the door in 30 minutes or so. I'd be on the road to work on time. Donnie, breakfast is almost ready. Here is your heaping cup of coffee to start off the morning. You better go ahead and drink it while it's hot. I get breakfast. I'll put more in your thermos, more coffee in your thermos. Baby, I have plenty of coffee in that thermos because I feel like I will be a long day for me, Donnie said while he sat at the table waiting for breakfast to be served. Don't I always have enough coffee in that thermos? Donnie, breakfast will be ready in a minute. Judith replied while preparing breakfast. Emily, come downstairs into the kitchen. She prepared to leave before she could have a breakfast with her family. Sarah Langston, Emily's best friend, had something to say to her, and she wanted to discuss with her something personal. Hey, Mama, I got to leave a little early this morning. I got to meet with Sarah. She had something she wants to tell me. Judith was a concerned mother for her daughter Emily. She was determined to find out what was so important that her friend Sarah Langston had to tell her before she left in a rush out the door without eating a good breakfast. It was Judith's way of expressing to Emily that eating a good breakfast will improve her way of thinking in the morning. Is Sarah okay, Emily? I mean, what is so important Sarah have to tell you you must rush off before you eat a good breakfast? Judy questioned Emily while she packed her booking bag with her school books. Nothing to worry about, Mama. I'm going to grab a piece of toast and go. See you later on today, Mama, Daddy, Emily replied. Emily grabbed a piece of toast and rushed out the front door without leaving a trace of anything else but a trail of breadcrumbs. Judith was determined to know what the secret was between her and her daughter and her best friend, Sarah. The secret was keeping so privately to themselves. Judith looked over at Donnie as she watched Emily walk out the front door. What was all that about, Donnie? What was so important that Emily had to rush out this house so early in the morning? This is what I want to know. A matter of fact, Emily has been leaving early every day for the past 3 days. I really don't like when she leaves without eating a good breakfast. She's always been too thin for me as it is. I don't know, Judith, Donnie said. I really don't know what's in those girls' minds these days. It's like a privacy sector, if you ask me. Everything is a secret. Daniel used Emily as an example, unlike when brothers aggravate their sisters in order to get their point across. It gave Daniel a motive to consistently pick on his sister Emily. Tell me about it, Daddy, Daniel said. Take Emily for example. She has briefly lost her mind about a lot of things. This secret thing, this private sector or whatever, or however you want to say it. It's just happened a few days ago. Daniel, I really want you, Daddy, I'm sitting here, I'm getting my words crossed right now, but Daddy, I really want to help my sister with her problem. She goes out to the house without feeding her face, but in a whole lot of ways. I love her. I'm her brother. That's how I show her that I love her when I pick on her. At least that's my perspective of things, Daniel said in concern for his sister, Emily. Here's something I can tell you, Donnie said. Your sister hasn't lost her mind, and I love her just the way she is. That's my perspective of things. Judith sets the table for breakfast very neatly with all the trimmings. She placed the platter of bacon, sausage, scrambled eggs onto the table. She brought a platter of toast all lined up like a bunch of fallen dominoes. There are buttery spreads. Next page. Homemade jellies and jams centered neatly in the middle of the table for everyone to get whatever they wanted to eat. Judith turned to Daniel. She chastised him for picking on his sister. Daniel, I want you to leave your sister alone this second. Breakfast is served. Let's eat. Donnie began to fill his plate with everything from each pat of breakfast food. Baby, this looks good and smells good. I do say so myself. Judith briefly glanced up at the clock, saw that time was passing by for Donnie to leave for work. She suggested that Donnie hurry before he was too late getting out the door. Sweetheart, you better get ready and go ahead out the door. You only got 25 minutes left until you got to be at work. Daniel decided to inform his mother and father about going over to his best friend Reginald's house. Instead of coming straight home from school to do his homework, chores, and read a book of his choosing. Things that an average teen would get out of doing. Hey, Mama, Daddy, Reginald wants me to come over to his house after school. Can I go? Daniel continued begging his parents' permission to go straight to his friend's house. As any parent would do when their child asks a question, like, can I go to my friend's house after school? Donnie and Judith was very direct with their answer to Daniel's question. Daniel, you know that I'm your father and I love you. But you know the rules and regulations around this house. Listen to what I'm about to say to you. You know that you got homework. You know that you need to come straight home and do your homework before you do anything else. So you know I don't need to say anything more. You know your sister. You know my answer to your question. Donnie discreetly answered Daniel's question, breaking it down to him. Daniel, you know that I'm your mother and I love you as well. But like your father said, you know the rules and regulations of this house. You need to come straight home from school and to do your homework. And you really need to clean that pigsty of a room and nothing else. I don't need to say anything more. You also know my answer to my question. Judith discreetly answered Daniel's question and also breaking it down to him. Daniel came back at his parents with total disrespect. He smart-mouthed his parents, which in terms considered him very uncaring to his parents when he tried to help him to be responsible for things like homework, chores, and maybe a book to read, something that would help in the long run once he's out in the world to live on his own. Okay, whatever. You hardly let me go anyways. Donnie got ready to leave for work. He packed up his breakfast in a paper napkin. He leaned over and gave Judith a kiss before leaving for work. Hey, babe, I'm taking the rest of my breakfast with me. See you later on today, Donnie said as he quickly started out the door. Donnie, here's your thermos, Judith yelled out to Donnie. Please, baby, have a wonderful day today and be careful. I love you. Donnie rushed out the door with the rest of his breakfast in the napkin in one hand, his lunch pail in the other. See you later, babe. I will be careful. I love you. Judith gathered Daniel's school supplies and placed them in his backpack. She glanced over at Daniel eating his breakfast. Dana, finish your breakfast. The bus will be coming for you in 10 minutes. After Judith gathered all Daniel's school supplies to put in his backpack, she cleared the breakfast tables. She proceeded to start lunch for later on during the day. Meanwhile, at Middleton High, where Emily and Sarah attended, Sarah was very emotional. She moped around, pacing back and forth on the school courtyard ground. She was met by Emily coming out of the back entrance of the school onto the courtyard. Next page. Emily, I don't know what to do about my situation. I'm totally scared and confused. Sarah frantically cried out to Emily as they continued to pace the courtyard. Sarah, I did tell your mother about my pregnancy yet? Emily questioned Sarah. No, I can't tell her that, Emily. There's so much chaos going on at my house right now. I definitely can't put my pregnancy on top of what's going on at my house, Sarah replied in fear. Okay, whatever, Sarah. What about that creep, Richard Morris? He is the father of your baby. What is he saying about this, or is he going to do anything about it, Emily? Questioned Sarah with concern for her well-being. Richard is doing what almost every guy would do when a girl gets pregnant. They do nothing. He's not helping me to decide what we should do before the baby comes. He's not saying anything to me that's worth hearing. Emily and Sarah briefly interrupted each other backwards and forwards about the facts of the ongoing problem with teenage pregnancies and uh, and guys who don't want to help co-parent. The girls acknowledged their concerns about teenage pregnancies as they spoke almost amongst themselves about the issues intact. Sarah, I just don't understand. Some of these guys, they do nothing to help with the situation at hand. First, they get with you and whisper sweet nothings to you. They draw you into a web of deceit, and then Sarah, they have you where they want you and leave you when they find out there's a little bun in the oven. At least most of these guys do when they find out you're pregnant. Emily briefly outlines to Sarah about the realities of a deceitful man. Emily, I feel so alone. I was drawn to Richard's web. He did what he wanted with me. I let him have me, and now I have this precious little bun growing inside me. Sometimes I don't know whether I'm excited or if it's the end of the world for me, Sarah said with emotions. It's not the end of the world for you, Sarah. I tell you what, why don't you come over to my house for a few hours? Take a load off. Emily, I'm sure I can use the break from all the things that's going on in my life. It's better than going home and facing up to chaos and with my mother flying off the deep handle over this. My dad is very cool, everything, but I wonder what he's going to do when I tell him about my pregnancy. I hope he takes this news without taking off my head. I would hate to see him fly off the deep handle like my mother would. Emily and Sarah proceeded towards the back entrance of the school from the courtyard. They went to get their lockers to grab their books that they needed for their class. Sarah, meet me here at the lockers after school today, Emily said before she went to her first period class. We'll walk to my house afterwards. Okay, Emily. Thanks for just being a friend and being here for me. I'll meet you here at the lockers after class today. See you later. Emily, thanks for being a friend, Sarah said after she grabbed her books from the locker. What are friends for, Sarah? See you right here at the lockers. Don't forget. Emily and Sarah went their separate ways to their classes. The school hallways filled up with students, faculty members, and other sources on their way to class. Okay, that's it for chapter 1. And I hope everything or everybody enjoyed me reading I had a few glitches here and there, made mistakes, with my words. But I hope you enjoyed me reading The Minorities, the pilot. I have something to say, and here it is. Everyone, like, share, subscribe to my podcast. The notifications, please. Okay, ring that bell to know that I go live. And I thank everyone. God bless you all for tuning in to my live broadcast. Thank you and have a wonderful day.